This is going to be a very interesting restart here as we look at what the strategy is for Kostecki. He's running right down into the base of the final corner. Straightens it up and gasses it.
This time through, it's going to be 27 laps to go. And Brodie Kostecki has control from a fast and aggressive Brock Feeney on the restart. Will Brown, championship leader in third spot. And Cam Waters, who's been fast all week, is back in the game in the Mustang in position number 4. He ventured up the escape road early in the day on lap 23, but he's now right back in contention together with James Moffat. Look at the battle going on up here as they get towards the braking area, and he covers Brodie Kostecki. Brock got a nice run. Brodie was onto him. He just needed to make sure that there was no lazy air gap left on the inside. Now, safety car procedure is under investigation for car 888. And Cooper Murray is being looked at for something that's gone on there. We'll come back to that. We'll try and understand it. Kostecki, Feeney, Brown, Waters, Stanaway, Mostert, Murray, LeBrock, Golding, De Pasquale. The heavyweights are out there and they are boxing on with 27 laps to go. We've been racing for 5 hours and the Repco Bathurst 1000 has come to life.
So 5.6 seconds too long before the limiter was engaged back to the 80K. 5.6, and it was doing roughly 140K at that time. So that's the issue for car 888.
Jumping on board here with Brock Feeney, shaving up against the concrete walls here, now plunges into Forest Elbow, and he's only a couple of car lengths in behind our race leader. Look at the respective engineers, they've got the eyes on as well. There's just as much tension in those headsets as there is within the helmets of these two drivers. Down Conrod Straight, just a little over 27 laps remaining, moving around the road. And we've got about 4 car lengths between them at the moment. We know that Feeney was quick in that previous stint. Brown's stalking here as well. And not very far out of the picture is Stanaway, who was lightning fast early in the day.
Just see Brodie Kostecki there, just moving it around on Conrod Straight, trying to break the toe slightly. And he just missed the apex just a little bit there at the final corner. Feeney made a bit of ground there at turn 23 at Murray's. And this is where he got a great run on the previous lap. Feeney come off this corner really well. Can he get a run this time? He's a little bit too far back.
Brodie was the runner-up last year. Can he go on and claim a victory at Mount Panorama? For the fellow behind him, for young Brock, he's never had a podium here. The best he's achieved in only a handful of visits is a position 5. What an opportunity for Feeney, and what a moment for Kostecki if he can close the deal. But there's a whole bunch of people in behind him, couldn't care less about all that nice statistical stuff. They want the victory at Mount Panorama as well, including Brown, including Waters, Stanaway, who did it last year, and Mostert, who needs to claw back that margin in the championship.
Yeah, Mostert will be desperate from the closing stages here. He knows how much this championship means. And he just hasn't had quite the car this weekend so far. How hard were they trying in there then? Maximum forces. You can see that front air dam smashing on the ground through the bottom of Reid Park. They're using every little bit of road. These are like qualifying laps now, folks.
Not like them, they are qualifying laps, because the way that he actually threw the thing into the metal grate then, and the huge load on that right front just showed exactly how much intensity was involved. These are great laps. We're watching great racing drivers ply their trade here at the moment with a maximum attack out of Forest Elbow. We've got 26 laps remaining, and Thomas Randall has gone straight ahead over the top of Skyline. He's in 11th position at the moment. There's a little margin crept here. 0.6 of a second, the gap between Kostecki and Feeney.
And I've been saying all weekend that Brodie Kostecki does that line through the chase, the right-hander, so well. He starts so wide, he makes the apex so late, and he gets the car perfectly straight off that fast right-hander, and his braking application down there is absolutely superb. It's been one of the features of the way he's been driving the car through the course of the weekend. There's Brock's dad, Paul. There's Todd Hazelwood, who you've got to say today has been absolutely fantastic. What a great drive by Todd Hazelwood today.
I think his performance as a co-driver today has been exemplary, fantastic. How's this little battle going on here at the moment? You've got De Pasquale, LeBrock and Randall, and they are nose to tail. There's some bruised battles going on out there at the moment. Ryan Wood's in this as well. He needs to try and push his way through to get a top 10 result. That'd be a big one for him in his first 1,000. He tries to go up the inside on LeBrock. There's no space down there, and that green stuff offers no grip. So he has to drop back in behind. Meantime, it's still 0.4 of a second between Kostecki and Feeney. Back to the leaders, out of the cutting, up and over the hump on the climb, second to third gear. Little fan of the throttle as they slide them up to the concrete wall. Fourth gear over the top of the hill, and now plummeting down to middle grade. Check the loadout on the right front of both those lead cars.
And Kostecki's bumped the fence a couple of times through the weekend. Oh, that was close there for Mostert also. He's bumped the fence there between Reed Park and McPhillamy. There was no margin there again. They are pressing on so hard. There's no margin for error. And if we get a little bit wide anywhere, you can see the difference in the colour of the road. There's a distinct tramp track. If you get a little bit wide, you will go in the fence.
3/4 of a second is the official timing margin at the moment between Kostecki and Feeney. Brown in third. Personal best over the top of the hill then for both Brown and Waters. Looking further back, Di Pasquale did a personal best over the top of the hill. Every single driver in this field is delivering maximum attack at the moment. It's a pleasure to witness. This is a huge battle with 25 laps remaining in this race. It is a long way from over. They're going to really harm these cars in the back end of this race with the brutality that they're offering up to them at the moment. Punching everything into brakes, punching everything into tyres, and that might come into question at the back.
Attention all teams, the stewards have imposed a pit lane penalty drive-through to car 888, breach of safety car procedure.
What a shame for Cooper Murray, you heard on the race management channel. So Cooper Murray, for that full course yellow procedural error, is going to come out of position 7 and have to trundle through the lane, and that's going to take him out of contention on what's been a fine day. But it won't be the last time that we see that young fellow do great stuff in a racing car. He's done it today with the legendary Craig Lowndes on his 31st start, and unfortunately they won't get the result that they originally deserved by the look of it.
Exactly. Both of them have driven very well. Cooper has been so fast. There's been lots of times in this race where he's been as fast as the leaders. Now on that last lap, Kostecki did an 8.21. He's close. He was going to have a look down the inside there. Mostert, he is super aggressive at the moment, trying to get the nose of that Optus Mustang up the inside of the Penrite Mustang of Richie Stanaway. And the number, when you look at the 8.21 that Kostecki just did, it reacts to the first and the fastest lap of the race so far. On lap 4, that he did an 8.15. So that's basically within half a tenth of a second of the number he did straight up at the start of this run.
Chaz Mostert is in 6th position at the moment. He's stalking Richie Stanaway, who in turn is not terribly far behind Cam Waters. Is he avalanche down the inside? Mostert thought about it, but then thought better of it late in that manoeuvre, thankfully, because that could have ended in tears. He wasn't quite close enough, but he did consider it. Kostecki's got 1 second now over Brock Feeney with 24 laps to go. And they've got 1.7 seconds between 1 and 3 on this racetrack, with only 0.6 between Feeney and Brown. Cool shot as they blast through the bottom of the chase there at 300 kilometres an hour. And down the inside with a bit of a lock up here is Mostert, and he gets the job done. But has he put a mark on those tyres? He's cleared him, and he'll drive all the way down the inside now as Murray comes to the lane to serve that penalty. And have a look at the battle here with Golding in the middle of this as well. Meantime, Kostecki is blazing out there at the moment. He's further lowered the time of the best lap in the race so far. It's a 2-minute 8.1 when it matters most.
Well, that's just demonstrated how hard they're trying to do the fastest lap of the race now on lap 138, and to be 1/100th faster than the lap that he did earlier today on lap 4 just shows how hard they're pressing on.
Here he is. Final sector now. That official margin on the computer is 0.8 of a second. Personal best times for him in both sectors 1 and 2, coming up to the control line now for Kostecki. Fastest lap is currently owned by Feeney. Make that now. Brodie Kostecki, he's just done a 7.9, a 2-minute 7.9984. This is a millimetre by millimetre battle. These are heavyweights squeezing every last ounce of performance out of these cars. on all 23 corners and every single one of the 6,213 metres of this racetrack.
Absolutely. And that middle sector, we were raving about how fast it was there for Mostert before. He actually ended up doing a 34.09 to be the fastest middle sector. So Stanaway fastest in sector 1, Mostert in sector 2, and Golding sector 3. New fastest lap, Brock Feeney, 7.92.
Yeah, and how's the difference between the two laps? It's 7/100ths between Brodie and Brock. Great motor racing. 3/4 of a second is the margin. 20 laps remaining. Still a long, long way. George Commons confirming that on the radio. I noticed the last time up here, Brodie was as millimetre close as you dare to being off the edge of the road in the braking approach to turn 2 to give himself the maximum sweep in to Griffin's Bend.
He uses the gear up on everybody. So he uses third there. A lot of them have been using second. Certainly Mostert was earlier. It'd be interesting to see what Feeney does there, whether he uses second or third now. But the way that Brodie goes about it is actually just try to keep the flow up. And that now is the race best first sector by Brodie with a 52.0 in sector 1, best of the day.
Still 3/4 of a second the margin between first and second, and Brodie's gone faster up the hill on this lap than anybody in the race today. Have a look at how tightly tucked that car of Brock's was. He wrapped it. It was shrink wrapped all the way around the concrete wall there. It was like cling wrapped to the wall. So it's line specific stuff that we're seeing there at the moment. He's done it again there at Forest Elbow. And the margin goes 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. It goes back to 6/10 constantly. And again, over the top of the hill on that lap, Brodie Kostecki's done a personal best. Will Brown has gone personal best going up the hill. All of these guys are trading blows at the moment with this intense battle.
But what has happened is that Brodie and Brock have just gapped everybody. They're just little by little, 2 or 3 tenths a lap. They've just snuck away from Will Brown. And this is absolutely maximum commitment by these two. In fact, it looks like Brock got a little bit of time back.
Now, this is like an auction. We're going to advance some numbers here, I reckon, one way or another, because we've just got a new fastest lap, and it lasted for 1/10 of a second. It was in favour of Brodie Kostecki, and it's now gone back the other way for Brock. So I reckon that was literally an eye blink there where Brodie had it, and now Brock's got a 7.8 as they continue to improve the pace for both of them. They've both done a 7.8. Unreal.
7.86 plays 7.87. How is that?
So Brodie had that time for the margin. Well, I can tell you exactly how long he had it. He had it for the gap, didn't he? Yeah, 0.5 of a second. Very cool.
There's the gap. It's closer.
It is 0.5. It's got back there again. Meantime, Mostert continues to apply the blowtorch to the back of Cam Waters' car. It's now 18 laps to go. More shade getting onto the racetrack. The temperature's pretty static out there.
All good.
Now, can they sustain those numbers? I mean, I know we've been saying through the course of the weekend we're not seeing any degradation, but we haven't seen qualifying laps.
So extraordinary. But this day looks like it's going to belong to Brodie Kostecki in what has been a very, very fast race. Coming up to some traffic here. Now, that margin has just moved down a little again, back to 1.2 seconds. It's not enough to start popping champagne corks, particularly when there are cars in front. 1 lap to go. We've got less than 6,200 metres of racetrack to negotiate.
One to go, mate, one to go.
What a special moment. And he won't be able to relax until he gets a little bit closer to the checkered flag, Brodie Kostecki. Todd Hazelwood cannot blink or breathe. Daniel and Betty are beside themselves with stress. Barry Ryan is watching down by the side of the racetrack here as well. He's got the glasses on to probably cover up a little bit of emotion. 1.3 seconds is the margin, and they've still got some traffic to negotiate. Turn 4 done, 19 turns to go. Brock Feeney has done an outstanding job today together with Jamie Whincup, Will Brown and Scott Pye. Cam Waters has done a great job with James Moffat. Chaz Mostert and Lee Holdsworth, our top 5, have driven supremely. With half a lap to go, though, it looks as though we are going to confirm a victory here for Brodie Kostecki.
won't want this because Courtney and Fullwood are pressing on. So Fullwood just went down the escape road and got out of the way. James Courtney is now the man to get out of the way.
They're getting blue flags, so they'll be aware of it. That margin's still sitting at 1.4 seconds. Both drivers have to negotiate some space around this traffic. Down Conrod Straight for the last time. What a moment for Brodie Kostecki. The politics, the drama, the trauma of the commencement of the 24 championship season for him, well and truly behind him. Into the chase with that big brake pedal application for the final time. Down towards the final corner. 1.3 seconds the gap. And Brodie Kostecki has shaken off the awkward start to the season to earn the biggest win of his career. Brodie Kostecki is the king of the mountain.
What an incredible drive. Absolutely millimetre perfect for the whole day. One of the greatest pole positions we've ever seen, and a life-changing win on the mountain for Brodie Kostecki and this young man, Tom Hazelwood.
Racing once more. Totally different complexion though, with all new names down the left-hand side of your screen. Pye leads them from Moffat, from Whincup, from Hazelwood, from Holdsworth, and they are chasing all over the road here. I think it's Tander that's gone all the way down the inside. He was almost on the horse racing track there at one stage, and he slides on by Declan Fraser, and he makes sure that Declan has to go the long way around on the exit of turn one.
Aggressive stuff down the main straight there. Good restart for Tander, and ended up right alongside the guardrail on the inside and got away with it. And then he was able to escort Declan a little wide coming off turn one, which meant that there was no drama for him to put that position on him and maintain that number. He's up into 6 there now. But at the same time, he's being shoved along by Todd.
It's welcome back to racing for Jamie. Luckily, there's a bit of muscle memory involved, and Hazelwood this time has another take at this, and he gets up on the inside of him, and Whincup does not blink and does not let him by. Now it's a drag race all the way up the back here, and there's a bit of side draft involved, and Hazelwood might get the run this time. What a great exchange between both of them. A lot of experience, and Whincup now drops in behind, and that puts him back into 4th position. Hazelwood gets on with it. Oh, that looks awkward. He's off the road. Now, he had a big one up here years ago, and he's just managed to get away with murder up at the end of the back straight. And that was costly. So he pinched the brake.
So we are doing, guys, it's roughly 11 seconds of space, 11 seconds of space.
So that one, he had a huge one a few years ago up there at turn 6. And has it got another problem?
He hit the fence. It bumped the fence on the right front.
I reckon it might have even actually punctured that tyre. That could have been the reason why it went off to begin with.
I honestly, Neil, I reckon that's an unforced error. I reckon he's fired in there so deep, and he's made his own. Oh, maybe it did turn right a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I saw the smoke. Now, that could have been from the contact back at turn 4.
Totally. Yep. So that might have called that wrongly. Definitely turned right when he put his foot on the brake.
Well, to the extent that I think he's actually been able to get up there. They are making contact on the run to 9, and Woody's having none of it. He's got the primary line here as they go through the left-hander. Percat's going to try and dive into that tiny little gap that separates the last 2 corners, 10 and 11. He's niggling again on the exit. He's just trying to unsettle him ever so slightly to see whether he can come off the corner a K or 2 better. And he gets a side draft benefit and blazes on by. He had some corner exit speed to help. And how about Matty Payne? Does he get 2 for 1, or do they make contact? They are mates, but that could end in tears at 200 kilometres an hour. And Payne has blazed on through and gone up into position 7. That was epic.
That was the move of the year by a mile. He's got 2 spots at the fastest spot, and they're still battling, still alongside each other.
Now, Percat's actually making rooster tails in the dirt. That's going to cost him. So it is a fearful battle out there at the moment for these miners, and they are playing for keeps early in the race.
Oh, David, Reynolds just pumped the back I think, of Brian Wood. Yeah, and he then fired in to Golding.
It's a traffic jam at Sydney Motorsport Park, and they are absolutely hammering each other. And Woody's copped a wagon, so is Reynolds. He's going to go well off the racetrack. So does Ryan Wood. So that was brewing for the best part of a lap and a half.
Back into it, buddy. It's a long race, mate.
Hard, fierce combat, hand to hand, car to car. And those that lost in the encounter were Wood and Reynolds. Meantime, Mostert and Feeney. Very critical stop for both. Let's soak it up, Jack.
Yeah, guys, let's watch this last pit stop of Chaz Mostert. Green rear tyres ready to go on that car. And they've got the fuel hose connected well. So far looking good on the left side. Those new tyres going on the back. And we'll wait now for the fuel. Little slow on the right rear, but we wait for fuel now. New drink bottle going in for Chaz as well. And he can see Feeney in the pits as well.
There was a wheel nut drama there, I think, for Brock. We'll have a look at that when we can. Mostert drops and goes. It's going to be so close. It's going to be so close, and there is contact. Is that an unsafe release? So he immediately drops to the right. That was tight, and that was always brewing. Deepest squally in the middle of this as well. What a way to finish our championship season with a full-blown nail-biter. 29 laps remain. Contact between the leaders and extreme pressure on both teams.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of review going on there because there was a wheel nut issue on Brock Feeney's car, but there was also the contact between the cars coming out of the pit. So our officials will be looking at all of the regulations and all of the vision to determine whether there was an infringement and whether that was outside the rules of the game.
We've been talking for the last 20 laps about how tight that was going to be, that it was down to the tenths of a second, and that moment for car number 88 is under investigation, confirmed by the stewards in the room. Let's go back downstairs.
Guys, I can definitely confirm the left rear wheel nut parted company and it went across the fast lane. I know that because it nearly ran my foot over, and then heavy contact as Brock tried to merge into the lane. So you'll see here when it comes off, it'll zing. There it goes.
Yeah, I saw it myself, and that's why I called it. Thanks for that, Garth Tander. And then when he's launched straight into the side of Chaz Mostert, and that'll be deemed an unsafe release, but he's redressed it immediately. Now, I don't know whether or not, this is where this stuff gets so hard to work out, and we'll let the stewards of the DSA do their job. So does that, in their view, neutralise what happened, or are they going to further intervene? And that'll be the question that's being wrestled with there at the moment. But this is an unbelievable nail-biter. What a way to finish our championship season. And Anton gets in the game here, chucks it up and over the rocks and out the other side. And that was exactly as predicted, that we were going to have such a tight scenario. Ryan Walkinshaw and Bruce Stewart, Carl Foe standing there in the WAU garage, hoping that they're able to capitalise here. This bloke in the front has squeezed the living daylights out of the high-speed and medium-speed performance of the car.
Race control, attention all teams. The stewards have imposed a 15-second time penalty to car 88 for an unsafe release.
Brock Feeney gets the penalty, an unsafe release into the side of car number 25, and so the redress is not taken into consideration there.
Yeah, just as we watch this battle continue, Neil, let's just pay homage to great strategy by Walkinshaw, right? I just called the option for Feeney to do an undercut. The only way to beat that, look at this. This is for me. Oh,
he's going to give him one. Sorry, Lucko, keep going, mate.
No, good as gold. Good as, I reckon this is a little bit of Feeney. I reckon he's been briefed. Pretend this is next year. You've got to win the race at all costs. And that's, I reckon, what's going on here. But so Feeney didn't get a chance with the undercut because Mostert, they didn't need to stop for fuel then. They stopped early, took away the option for Feeney to undercut, and a quick calculation would tell you, boys, if your pit lane's a couple down the pit lane for where Feeney was, if you come in and got to put the same amount of fuel time in, that you're going to be in the fast lane first. Yeah. Strategically, very, very well done.
What a day. Great intensity between those leading teams and drivers as we go on board here with Will Brown, who I reckon when we get to the control line, if he's not interrupted here, is about to get the fastest lap of the race. And it is now a 1 minute 20.1. And he's moved up a spot into position number 7. Now, when the other two stop, he's 27 seconds from the lead. when both Kostecki and Waters stop, Will Brown, remarkably enough, is going to be a factor somewhere in the top 5.
Yeah, guys, I just had a quick chat to Jamie Winkup and asked him whether they've told Brock about that 15-second time penalty. He says, yes, we definitely have. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. So unless he's got a good poker face, they've definitely told him.
Yeah, I was wondering whether or not, in fact, you know, don't necessarily need to tell him. His job is to just go and hustle. But he has been informed. But he's going to try and make a point here. And he's making it big at the moment as he tries to sneak down the inside. And he is right under the bumper of Chas Mostert. It's not impossible that these two don't get a bit of rubbing going here in all this, because it's vigorous out there at the moment, to the extent that now Mostert has to cover into turn 9 because he knows he's vulnerable down there. This is kind of repeat for what we saw in the early tyre stint, where later in the stint, Brock's tyres are just that little bit better, it would seem, or the balance perhaps just that little bit better. Strengths and weaknesses with both cars at the moment. The medium high-speed stuff looks pretty reasonable for Mostert, but the trail braking is strong for Brock. Right there, you can see the evidence of it as he puts his signature on the right rear corner.
But I'd be saying to Mostert now, just let him go, because he needs to save the rear tyres on that car in case it's a safety car, because Brown will be super fast if there was a safety car. I know he's 18 seconds adrift, but he doesn't need to race Brock now.
A bit of pride at stake for both of these guys at the moment. And that'll be part of this, not wanting to let him by. The downside, if either of them are not careful, is you could end up with a little catastrophe. And there it is on cue. There's your catastrophe.
Oh, my
that
God.
was brewing for a long, long time.
Get going, mate, get going.
So there's that damage and over and out.
That's
because
crazy.
That's exactly what I was just talking about, that you could end up with a disaster on your hands. And so this is going to brew up big. Is there residual damage on car number 25? And what are the implications of that?
All right, mate, 7.5 seconds back to Brown.
They've handed this thing to Will Brown. Oh, my God.
Unbelievable scenes in Adelaide. I was just speculating on exactly that point. I barely got to the end of the sentence and it came to fruition. So damage on the right rear corner of this car. Is that going to threaten the life of the tyre?
Yeah, no, it's gone. It's over. The right-hand rear, there's right-hand rear damage.
Just give me what you can, mate. Give me what you can.
But why wouldn't he have just let him go? Oh, we were talking about it beforehand.
Look, there was damage on the thing. It's an extraordinary scenario. So that is going to be clearly investigated and confirmed on our timing and scoring. This, ironically, could hand a victory to the champion, to Will Brown. And what a scenario that would be. To have plunged all the way to the bottom of the field after being tagged by his old teammate Brodie Kostecki, going all the way down the order, pointing in the wrong direction. Mark was openly questioning why you would bother to race. I responded with, there'll be pride in this, and the risk is if they play too hard, there could be contact. Bang, it happened with an exclamation. Let's have a look and understand more about all this again. What a moment here in Adelaide to wind up our championship. Down the inside he goes, bang, right rear corner, turns him, whack, into the Repco banner. And here's the angle from another viewpoint. Gets him in the right rear corner, and Brock will be done for that.
Yep, he will certainly be done for that.
Big contact. And now, what sort of performance have we got left in car number 25? Does it have anything? They'll do everything to resist coming in. 15 laps remain. It's hardly a small journey. And the onboard very telling with just how filthy and hard that impact was. Here it is again.
Have a listen.
Gone. 14 laps remaining. Race control looking at it. Disbelief in the garage. Garth?
I just confirmed with Anthony McDonald, team manager for Walkinshaw and Andretti United, that Chas acknowledged that radio message from Sam Scafidi. He knew that Brock Feeney had a 15-second time penalty.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the mood to yield, and Brock wasn't in the mood to take any notice of the 15-second penalty. They're playing for keeps out there. We talk it up week in and week out. These guys have got the eyes on.
Race control, attention all teams. The stewards have imposed a 15-second time penalty to car 88 for a driving infringement.
Brock Feeney penalised. He's now got 30 seconds and it blots the copybook this weekend. It's going to put him down in somewhere in the mid-teens when all that gets resolved at the end of it, as Jamie Whincup contemplates that. Bit of hard racing going on out there this afternoon. Prix under the car at that time. Here's a battle, Courtney and Percat. Oh, James has to stay. Oh! They're hanging on by their fingernails. They both got away with that one, but the point that I was going to make is there's so much rubbish on the road over the crest of the hill there, wide at turn 3, and that was a lucky one for both of them. Clearly see what the preceding car's doing as well. So there's a couple of strengths that Thomas has got at the moment. He's about to use one of them. Oh, that's a little bit awkward, but he's given him a thump. If he profits from that, he can get a whack from the umpire. He's got to be very careful. They're leaning on one another pretty aggressively here, all the way up the back straight. So the aggro continues. It's serve and return of serve all the way up here through 5, and it continues up to turn 6.
Yeah, Will's probably going to give him a bump now. He does, and he pulls back on the inside. So that was tit for tat. Absolutely tit for tat, and he's running wide as a consequence. He's going to battle to stay on the black stuff, and he's actually fixed it up.
Fucking pump and run.
That's an unhappy Thomas Randall in the background. There was ag between them in Western Australia as well.
Nice forward.
You can see that one brewing from back at turn 4.
You don't need to have a drama now, and you can see Randall will be looking at this going, boys, you keep on playing like this and I'm going to capitalise, which he's looking to do straight away.
Doesn't take much, does it? And he's back in the game almost now, Thomas Randall. He was right with him under brakes.
You've got the speed, 5.5.
So you can hear the gap to the flag in the background on the team radio. So we're inside 6 laps remaining.
So there's some pretty lively radio chat here. Oh, that's going to be a big hit.
He's got him, and that's awkward. And again, wow. Now, that's highly likely to involve a penalty here for Randall.
Yeah, copy, mate, copy.
And there's damage, unfortunately, on Thomas's car. Waters out to 4.4 seconds over Brown. Forward's going to be on the podium if this continues like it is, but there's a lot of pressure in the background because Mostert now is right in here. So, wow, what a change of complexion in a hurry. Right through until this very moment, he's been showing terrific pace. He needs it at the moment because there's only 0.28 of a second. In fact, that may well change now in the braking area, and it does. And that's a clean move down the inside, but is the crisscross on here as Nick tries to argue the case, and I think he might actually get this done in the right-hander at 12. That was very cool. So how's that? A tit-for-tat move out the other side between 11 and 12, and the lead exchanges again.
Oh, here we go. Don't do that. So he tried to drive around the outside. Now his teammates played in. So the guys that are battling to win the weekend for the Larry Perkins Trophy are now alongside each other. The two teammates alongside each other. Feeney and Brown battling down to turn 1. This is going to be unbelievable.
That unlocks a bit of space here for Nick Percat. Staggering to watch the intensity of this battle. Feeney barely catching that thing out the other side. Remember, for Brock, he made a little mistake a couple of days ago when he just got it wrong on the brake pedal into turn 13, and side by side again into turn 3. Feeney and Brown, it'll be tense moments in the Red Bull garage. So far they're racing cleanly and effectively, and out the other side comes Will Brown. Great exchange between these boys.
Well done. Very, very nicely done. Both of them have played very fairly there.
But in the process, we've now got a 1 second margin for Nick Percat. Wow. Tight racing. Mostert's getting back into this as well. Problem is for him that he might have the physical presence on the racetrack, but the result sheet is going to reflect a 5 second penalty for him and push him down the order. As we jump on board here with Brock Feeney.
I love this section of road. It's so fast. It's actually faster than the main straight now. It's the highest speed.
And every chance to be able to make a move. Mostert is within his rights to try and just close that off the best he can. Now, that didn't work well for him earlier in the day. No. Now, he's vulnerable here because it was a slow exit out of turn 7. He might even end up being passed before he gets to 8, and that's exactly what's going to happen here, and he's flown the flag. So that moves him down a spot.
Oh, he's coming back.
Richard Harris is happy about that.
He turned back
He is
on him.
coming back
He
down
come
the
back.
inside. He might actually argue the case. It'll be 3 wide. These boys are going to end up with nuts and bolts everywhere if this continues. And Will Davison ends up actually dropping all those spots to be at the end of the queue now. Mostert gets back. He is not giving up without a proper fight to the end. Randall's now all over him. Next time through, there's 3.2 kilometres to go. They are playing hardball out there at the moment. Davison tries to get down the inside of Randall. It could well be 3 wide when they get down here. Gets out of the slipstream, hunting high and low.
And Percat's only a couple of car lengths behind also. So watch this. Where does Randall put a move on? He's got to be able to dive and do it with authority. He's not close enough under brakes there. How was Chaz Mostert turning back on the inside and coming off turn 8 to get back down the inside of Davison? That is the move of the day.
Beautiful work.
With a damaged car.
And he might have saved himself position on the podium, but we saw things didn't go well on the exit of turn 7. Look at the queue forming behind him at the moment. He's got an angry pack of drivers in behind who are trying to steal the lollies from him at the moment. He's got a little bit of margin with half a lap remaining. Now Brock Feeney is going to cross the line as the leading car, but not the winner of the race. He survived turn 8 with a twisted car at the moment. Mostert covers on the run to 9. Here comes Will Davison down the inside. Has to duck out of it in the end to not turn Randall around. That's forming a queue. Take a ticket, everybody. Turn 11 on the left-hander. Unbelievable margin here.
It's 26 seconds from Feeney back. If they keep it up, Feeney actually gets the spot.
Unbelievable. They're all max attack at the moment. This is the battle to the end. What a day in Adelaide.
Last lap.
Everything.
Here we go. Nothing left in this one now. Feeney's going to cross the line. He's in the mix, but you've got to do the math to see how it all works out. Up the inside, is it Kostecki? I think he got there. No, he didn't. He thought about it. Extraordinary scenes in Adelaide. James Golding is in this queue as well, Mark. It's a roll call. There's Mostert, Randall, Davison, Percat, Heimgartner, Kostecki and Golding. All could play a role in this in the last half lap. Mostert's got one more chance. Will Brown, unbelievably, is going to win this motor race. Race 24 is going to fall to the champion. And you would not have thought that'd be possible earlier in the day. They're rubbing, racing, shoving, pushing all the way through the final corners for the miners at the moment. The crowd appreciates the comeback for the young champion from Toowoomba. He's put on a big display today. Take a bow, Will Brown. You are the race winner of our final race of the year, and that is an extraordinary comeback. What a drive. What a drive. And Chaz Mostert, I tip my hat. The fact that that thing got dragged across the line, it was twisted and bent like a rotten old shopping trolley. In behind him, let's go to Chad.
Yeah, grabbed a quick word with Adam Austin, the engineer for Ryan Wood, and said, what's with the extra pit stop? His response, we're going for it. And speaking of going for it, the teammates are at it.
Side by side, this could get awkward down here as Will Brown tries to find a unique line around the outside at turn 11. They're racing cleanly, but they're racing hard at the moment. Exit onto the back straight. Nothing between them. And the problem for Will is you'll end up using more of everything in this pursuit, and he'll have to be very cautious of that. He's got to try and make his gain in such a way that it doesn't end up dragging too much out of the tyres. Had to think about it. Showed the nose just to annoy him, just to show some colour in the mirror, but he's well and truly aware of the logo on the car. Gave him a little bit of a helping hand there on the exit of turn 1. He's up the inside here at 2. He's got the whole thing parked all the way to the right on the top of the green concrete down there, Will Brown. Left, right, leaning on the car, asking the tyres to do a huge amount of work here. Turn 5. Will Brown's been a champion in a whole bunch of categories in his rise to the top. It's a new deal for him in 2024 to join the Red Bull team, and he's given him another little nudge here. That was a bigger one. That wasn't just Morse code, that was a thump.
Yep. And that run off turn 9 is the critical one for Will Brown. He hasn't been able to get off there well enough to position himself close enough for the braking area of 11.
So Craig's observation of Will is pretty accurate here. So he's able to park it ideally and run out around the inside there of turn 11. He actually used a bit of rear tyre coming out there. He had it wagging the tail, Will Brown. Brock is not able to quite get the car positioned to the exact same spot, but he's got track position at the moment and he's not flinching. He has not blinked at the moment. Now, Ryan Wood's gone out there on the fresh tyre, by the way. He's down in 18th and going for it, as Chad described. He's done a 27.6, but he's 49 seconds from the lead of the race. So even though he's got fresh tyres and has gone for a different sequence of stops to do it, he's got a lot of ground to make up, but he does have speed. Here's the battle for the lead. How's the amount of curb that Will's using there at turn 2? Had the car parked all the way to the right. Here we go, big dive down the inside. Tight, tight, tight. There's nothing between it. They're trying to stay off each other, but have a vigorous race at the same time. Try to get power to the road. That's hurting the rear tyres. It's 16 seconds back to Di Pasquale, and they are watching very closely in the garage at Red Bull. Mark Dutton has seen this once or twice before.
He certainly has. Now, this is the critical corner. He's got a better run this time. That's the best run he's had. That's the critical corner. Now, he's parked himself. He's on the wrong side of the road here, but he'll try to crisscross. He'll try to run him into the corner and turn back on the inside. And Brock's having none of it.
Nothing to do with any of that. There's nowhere to go down there at turn 11 when you're on the outside. It's adding meterage.
Keep it up, mate.
We dare not take our eyes from it.
No.
Into the final complex. Lost a little bit of ground in that manoeuvre. 9 laps remaining. Just inside 30-odd kilometres. Still a bit to do with these tyres before you get to the end. Brock's having to carry the brake a long way into the corner into turn 1.
What tends to happen with these sorts of things is the level of frustration gets higher and higher and higher for the overtaker. And so for Will, it's hard not to actually get real red-faced and get real angry about trying to get by and end up making a little mistake.
And the frustration level correlates to the tyre temperature on the rear. There's a graph. Now, he's actually pulled that margin back down again, so it's evident that he's got the pace, but if he's going to make the move, it's got to be clean. They've been told on the radio, and the problem is that he's strong here through 8 and 9, Will Brown, but Brock is a wake up to it and makes him go the long way down here at turn 11. If he can kid him into overrunning down here, he'll get down the inside. But Brock's having none of it. And we saw laser focus from him in that first big victory in Adelaide. We've seen quite a number of occasions where Brock's concentration and his ability to manage pressure has been really impressive.
What he's doing also, if you notice, he's not blocking it all under brakes here. But the little kink in the road, at the kink at turn 10 before 11, allows him to essentially block at turn 11.
Now, Will got a better exit that time out of turn 14. He did a nice job at negotiating 12 and 13, but it's such a short, sharp run down there, and there's kind of nowhere to go down here at turn 1. Martin Short's the engineer on the right-hand side of screen.
Still thinking to 5 is his answer. He's got to be able to come off that one well, and he's got a little run over the rise. He's got the whole car across the inside, and down the inside he plunges. But now they're alongside each other. And does Brock give it away? Brock does, just release the throttle a little bit, and finally, Will Brown is able to execute that manoeuvre.
Waters and Mostert, and they go at it off the front row of the grid, and they are side by side. Dead set drag strip material. And Cam's got the inside running and will prevail out the other side of turn 2. Mostert wants to get down there with every single thing he's got, and that's exactly what he tries to do now. Waters is bang down the inside, crisscross on the other side. Great motor racing. Waters through. Will Davison through.
This is the best racing we've seen this year.
unless they're adopting 3 stops as a strategy. We'll see what it looks like for the Monster Energy car that had decent margin and decent pace. And here we go, look at this, tight, very tight. So this little arm wrestle resumes, exactly what we want.
Exactly.
Litres of fuel have gone on for Waters to maintain a track position, so the engineering group in there would have been factoring that, because Chaz would have got a gain from the fresh tyres, therefore the undercut that we talk about. Mark Larkin's done many stories on it, raised it also in the Hino hub, so they will have been aware of the fact that he was on the march, and there he is. But remember, there's a 5-lap difference in the age of the tyres here, but what a great battle that's unfolding between them as Davison and Brock also come into the lane. And what Mostert wants to do here, with all of his powers, is get down there with every single thing he's got, and that's exactly what he tries to slingshot and do now, and has been able to achieve it. They make awkward contact, and as that pushed the guard onto that left rear tyre, that was very, very awkward. This is starting to liven up once again. We've talked about strengths, weaknesses, backing off, clear air, temperature effect. Chaz is at the back end of the life of these tyres. This is where the younger tyres for Waters is valuable. He thought about it. He was fully braking and grip limited by the time he got down to turn 2. That was pretty close to awkward contact, but they both managed to get away with it. 37 laps remaining. This is the battle for the lead. Race 13 of the championship. Nothing in it between Mostert and Waters. And there's a pit lane incident under investigation for Cam Hill at the moment. The stewards have just noted as well. Eyes up on this one though. Mostert, no space on the outside. Cam had to think about it, whether or not he was going to overtake. Chaz runs slightly wide here. That could be costly. This could open the opportunity for the run down the inside. Here we go, turn 9 and 10. Waters incentivised. Maybe a kilometre an hour, 2. Just slightly better, and he uses it to his advantage. Bang, down the inside for the lead. Crisscross on the other side. Out shoots Mostert. Great motor racing between these two guys as Chazzy fires one back and gets to the lead. Cam up on the outside at the final corner. Quality supercar racing between Waters and Mostert as Mozzie comes out the other side with the lead, perhaps only for just a moment, because there's nothing much left in those tyres on his car.
That is as good as it gets. That exchange is absolutely outstanding driving from both parties.
Oh, lock up on Waters at the critical moment, and he opens the door again, but can he hang on? He's got a tiny grip advantage. He tries to close the door. There's a tiny overlap, but Cam recognises it. Another great exchange through turn 3. These guys are super pros. What a terrific battle between Mostert and Waters. And have a go at the next car in the queue, because Will Davison is now 3/4 of a second behind, and he is right in the middle of this.
This is the best racing we've seen this year. They have absolutely turned it on, Mostert and Waters. And whilst they've been playing those games, Will Davison has made an immense amount of ground. Another late move! And he only just gets it stopped there by Cam Waters.
Now, Davison could be the ultimate beneficiary if this gets too ugly and gets too willing. Davison up on the outside, tries to round him up into a next to impossible position. This is the battle for the lead. First, second, third, Mostert, Waters, Davison. Chazzy getting to the end of the tyre line. The car tucked in behind Waters has got slightly younger tyres. Can he use them now to advantage under brakes, and does Davison go with him? Waters through. Will Davison trying to squeeze through? What an exchange.
Fantastic motor racing. 3 different Ford teams, 3 of the very best operators battling as hard as you can possibly battle. And Waters now with that little reprieve, 0.7 of a second up the road.
This is having the effect of bringing everybody back together. The split all the way back down to our championship leader, Will Brown, is just 8 seconds. This is far from over with 35 laps remaining. What a battle we've got on our hands in Townsville this afternoon, and a bit of sunshine beginning to peek through, so maybe now no threat of rain. We talked about it early. Here's the view from Chaz Mostert. Was leading, is now third.
And I reckon he's got to actually make a call on the stop because he's got a couple of seconds over the others with fuel. You need to be able to use it to give yourself the track position.
Of this lead group of 3 cars, Will Davison's is the youngest tyre set by 1 lap over Cam Waters.
Melbourne, 34 to go, 34 to go. We'll work on a bit of a plan here.
We've got a bit of a plan here, says Sam Scafidi to Chaz Mostert. Thomas Randall in the background, the Castrol entry into 4th position. He's playing into the game here as well. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you next, folks. It is raining.
Oh, check those clouds.
It is raining out there. And that dark cloud that we saw a moment ago is actually dumping some moisture on this racetrack. Now, if you want some supercar action, just add water, because this has already been a nail-biter and a ripper this afternoon, and it's about to get a whole lot weirder, Jack.
I just quickly spoke to Tom Randall's engineer and asked if there was anything possibly wrong with the car. They seem to think it was just a lock-up. And I can confirm it's definitely raining here, guys. I've got water on the glasses.
Thanks, mate. We'll get some tissues down there for you. Now, the race director declares the track wet, which just means that officially you can come in and put a wet tyre on. We spoke about it in the Hino Hub earlier. The crossover number, we think's about 1 minute and 23 seconds. It's not just wet, it's hammering down there at turn 6 at the moment, and they will be creeping along on a Dunlop slick tyre. They've got residual temperature in the tyre at the moment, but that will not last long. This is going to be a battle to keep the cars on the racetrack. What a story this afternoon in Townsville.
What do you do?
What do you do? Do you hang in there? Can you keep the thing on the island, or do you need to bring it in for a Dunlop wet? And certainly nobody wants to blink at this stage.
But it's sunny
There's
there.
not much rain around, mate. There's not much around.
So do you take a punt and stay on the slick tyre? They are going to take a punt and stay on the slick tyre. And we're watching some of the absolute best in the world in these conditions, because Mostert, we know, is like that. Waters is extraordinary in these conditions.
And with warmth in the tyre and the drivers fully connected to and understanding their cars and the road condition, they'll hang on to the bitter end. They'll need to see a huge drop in lap speed before they make the change. Last lap through, 19.9 for Mozzie, 19.8 for Randall, 18.8 for Waters, to your point, and a 19 flat for Will Brown, 4th position, and Will playing into the game here. The margins are condensing, the rain is falling. We've got 10 laps to go in Townsville. It's lucky race number 13 in the Repco Supercars Championship, and these blokes are holding on to these things and wrestling 1.5 tons around this racetrack.
And you've got to stop the paint. You can see the line, the difference there that Mostert and Randall and Waters were using on the exit of turn 6. If you make the paint, you make the grass, you make the fence. So they were doing a very conservative exit job to stay off the painted line and stay off that complete painted curve. Randall now putting pressure on.
Now, this also dramatically changes the survivability of the tyres at the back end of their line. They have a little cool out, they might get a breather, they might now survive better. Waters is right on the back of his teammate. Only a heartbeat ago, Randall was vying for the lead. He might now be under threat for second. 9 laps remain in Townsville. Mostert, Randall, Waters, Brown, LeBrock, Payne, Feeney, Davison down the 8th now, Heimgartner and Courtney. And here comes Cam down the inside, P2.
That was bold. He was a long way back. He just fired straight down there. He obviously knew it was his teammate, but at that point there, he was committed to it. If Thomas turned in, he was going to fire him off the road.
Back to the beginning in the battle between Mostert and Waters. It reignites exactly as it did off the line at the start of this motor race much earlier this afternoon. Have a look at those numbers in the graphic at the bottom of the screen. Have a look up in the top left-hand corner and see how many laps we've got to go. Have a look in the background at the black sky. That weather did come in from the southeast despite the sunshine that we saw. And things have changed pretty dramatically for a bunch of people. Notably, Will Davison's car has not adapted to those conditions at all, having gone down now into position number 8. Here's our race lead. Mostert, 9/10 of a second from Waters. Randall on screen for Castro. Just lurking in the background in the shadows at the moment is Will Brown. There he is, our championship leader. Has done a mighty job for position number 13 on the grid today. He's a factor. He may well get onto the podium. You would not have thought that possible earlier in the day. There they are, right in front of us with 8 to go. Anything can happen in terms of this podium.
And if you like a bet, it's Winks odds for Waters to have a crack at Mostert, because Cam Waters all day, they've battled since lap 1. And at the point of the race right now, Waters has got nothing to lose. He will have a serious crack at Chaz Mostert, there's no doubt.
Tension in the garages at the extreme level. Sam Potter, engineer for Cam Waters.
Still wet.
Ryan Walkinshaw, the owner of Walkinshaw Andretti United, a co-owner together with Zach Brown and Michael Andretti. And it still looks pretty ordinary out there towards the southeast. The wipers on Cam's car. Parts of the racetrack are dry, other parts are partially wet, others are quite wet. How do you play that game? It's all about the feel in the seat of your pants, tips of your fingers, tippy toe off your toes to be able to understand how to get the most out of your Dunlop tyre that's well worn on a greasy track with 1.5 tons wanting to get away from you and throw you into a concrete wall.
And these are the two best proponents, or two of the best we've ever seen. These guys are the best. When it's like this, when the inclement conditions and the grip level is weird, they always optimise it. Doesn't get down there, he had to. He had to move it. Mostert, he knew he was going to be drilled.
Change for the lead. But does Mozzie come back down the inside? He argues the case on the run to turn 3. Cam Waters has taken the lead at race number 13 in greasy conditions down the inside at turn 2. That's an eyeful of Mostert's car back into position number 2 now. Is Waters going to be able to keep this pace up and open the margin?
And what it does, it makes Cam Waters the pioneer for the conditions. Previously, Mostert was down the inside, he looks. Can he get down there? It almost forces Waters slightly wide at 7 and 8. This is the wild spot, because this corner's fast.
Brown on Randall for 3rd. Keep an eye in the background, because this could change in a heartbeat. Here he comes, under brakes down here at turn 11. Will Brown's now on the podium. What a drive this afternoon. Thomas Randall argues the case back out the other side. He's almost cleared him by the time he's put power to the road. Battle up the front, Waters v Mostert. Battle for position number 3 involves Brown v Randall. This is an epic race in Townsville this afternoon with now 6 laps remaining.
So now Waters has got to read the conditions. When you're the lead person, when it's like this, you don't know how much grip you've got at the next corner. As Randall has a plunge down the inside, across the painted lines, and now Will Brown tries to turn back and contact. That was close to going in the fence.
No. Unbelievable exchange between Thomas and Will between 2 and 3. And you're about to see 1 lap to go. What an afternoon of motorsport. And bar a mistake, it's done. So last lap 17.2 for Cam Waters, 17.4 for Chaz Mostert, 17 flat for Will Brown. Margin across the top, 4.5 seconds, and have a go at this. Still an epic battle all the way to the end for Randall, LeBrock and Feeney. A lot to play for here, valuable points, and Brock's well aware of that. He's 2nd in the championship. Back to our leader, who's actually now well opened that gap. All the pressure is off. Half a lap remaining. He's flicking the lights to Nick Percat, who copped damage in the opening lap. This has been a magical drive today from Cam Waters, and a consolidation of the brilliance that we saw in practice from Tickford and Waters in the monster car in Friday practice 1 and 2, earlier today in quali, and then in the top 10 shootout, and then in a gigantic battle all the way to this checkered flag. 1 corner now remains. Out of the final corner, 88 laps in the bank, and this has been a magical drive by Cam Waters today to take a stunning victory in Townsville and to move his career tally on to win number 13.
I ran the P6 or so, mate. Ran a P6. Good job, mate. Awesome. That was epic, mate. Great job.
It was a great job by everybody down there.